Good morning, everyone. I am Layal Dadou, a food scientist from Sierra de France. In the framework of RTB Foods project, I am the focal point for texture activities. Today, I will be presenting the principles and points of attention for texture profiling. Here is the outline of my presentation. I will start by presenting what texture is, and then go on with the application of this type of measurements in the field of food processing. I will also introduce very briefly the different tools available to perform texture measurements. The core of the presentation will focus on the key steps to develop a robust and discriminating texture test. And finally, I will conclude with the take-home messages. So what is texture? As you can see in the pictures, any product, no matter its nature, has a specific texture. We are in daily contact with products of different textures everywhere we are, on the road, at work, and even when we take a shower. For example, cosmetics and hygiene products can have solid, liquid, or even gel textures. So you understand that the texture of these products has been very well studied and optimized to meet our expectations as consumers. Foods also have very different textures: solid, liquid, gel, and paste. For example, milk and juice are liquid foods, while sausages, guacamole, and mashed potatoes are gel and paste. Finally, chocolate and butter are perfect examples of solid foods. Let's see how we can use texture analysis in foods processing fields. First of all, let's give a definition to the foods processing. In a simplified way, it's about, for example, applying a thermal or a mechanical treatment to a raw material in order to transform this raw material into a processed product with new characteristics and, of course, with a new texture. For example, we can use texture measurements on raw products such as fruits to predict the performance of the process. We can use the same type of measurements on fruit to determine their ability to be processed into purees. It's the case, for example, of raw mango and apple. In the case of yam, texture measurements are rather carried out on processed products, such as boiled yam or pounded yam. In this case, we try to evaluate the texture of these products in order to identify yam varieties that allow us to obtain cooked product with good textural quality. Maybe you are wondering now if measurements are easy to perform. The answer is yes, because we have equipments such as texture analyzers and rheometers that are available and very effective. But we have always a challenge when we develop a texture test, because measurements methods are product dependent, which means that the methods developed, for example, for a solid product using a texturometer are not suitable to evaluate the texture of liquid or gel products. And in these cases, we will use another type of test and another equipment, which is the rheometer. Moreover, we have several types of probes and many types of measurements, offering us a wide choice of methods to evaluate the texture. So how to choose? For example, in the case of boiled yam, we can use texture analyzers to perform punction, penetrometry, extrusion, or even compression. While for pounded yam, we will rather use rheometry tests and in some cases compression tests. But how we can choose in an adequate way the convenient texture test? We have to follow the 6 key steps to validate a robust, discriminant, and fast texture test. First of all, we have to standardize the sample preparation and check after that if the adopted conditions are repeatable and reproducible. After that, we will investigate different texture methods to choose the relevant texture test, and again, we have to check the robustness of the results. Before validating the test, we have two more points of attention. The first one concerns the evaluation of the discriminating ability of the texture test, and the last one concerns the correlations between instrumental and sensory texture data. I presented these steps in a chronological way, as if they were carried out one after the other. I did this to facilitate the presentation and the comprehension, but in fact, several steps can and must be carried out at the same time. I will give you more explanation about each step. To standardize the sample preparation in the case of yam, we have to choose very carefully the cooking and the sampling conditions. For example, we should consider the position of sample in the tuber because yam have very heterogeneous tubers. We have also to standardize the size and the shape of each sample before cooking. And a special attention should be given to the number of samples, the cooking temperature, and the cooking time. And of course, we have to make sure that the conditions we use are in line with those used for sensory evaluation. The second step concerns the performing of statistical analysis to check the data quality. Now, in the third step, we will investigate different texture methods. As I explained previously, we have many options for boiled yam and pounded yam. I won't detail all these methods, but I will focus only on the point of attention that we have to consider at this step. Mainly, the temperature of sample while we perform the measurement, the number of measurements, and the number of samples per tubers, as well as the number of tubers analyzed. And once again, when we have our results, we need to perform statistical analysis to check if the method is repeatable and reproducible. In the fifth step, we will carry out texture measurement on very contrasted samples. To conduct this step, food scientists need the breeder's knowledge to gather contrasted raw yam tubers. So to validate the test, we have to make sure that the test has a sufficient discriminating ability to overcome the data disparity due to intrinsic heterogeneity of yam tubers. To do so, we need to consider the sample position in the tuber and to increase significantly the number of measurements and the number of samples. And thanks to statistical analysis, we can evaluate the discriminating ability of our texture test. In this last step, we will check if we have significant and relevant correlations between instrumental and sensory texture data. So we will check if it is possible to predict a specific sensory attribute based only on instrumental data. For example, we can try to predict hardness based on the value of hardness that we can measure using a texturometer. If we manage to achieve successfully these 6 steps, we can validate the robustness and the discriminating ability of the texture test. And in this case, we can propose a routine test for breeders and for food scientists. Now I will conclude with the take-home messages. First of all, it's important to remember that the development of a robust and discriminating texture test needs time. It needs also collaborations between different teams and needs as well a very good knowledge of statistical analysis. And of course, all this makes sense only if The texture of processed product is considered as one of the important quality attributes contributing to consumer acceptability. And now I will finish with my last take-home message. Don't forget that texture tests are very easy to perform but not easy to validate. I'd like to thank you for your attention, and if you need more information about texture analysis, we'll be pleased to meet you on the practical session of texture on November 25th and 26th. Thank you.